The young woman you see here, smiling, glowing, celebrating life, is 20-year-old Brianna Stein. And within minutes of this moment, her birthday party would turn into one of the most brutal ambushes Inglewood has ever seen. She was surrounded by family, wrapped in joy, music, and laughter, completely unaware that armed men were already on the move, heading straight for her Airbnb with a single deadly purpose that would rip through the walls, the crowd, and the night itself. At 1:30 a.m., the police radio cracked to life with a call so disturbing, officers would later say they had never seen anything like it. When they stepped inside, it looked like a war zone. Bodies on the floor, bullet holes across every surface, blood on shattered glass, and a silence so heavy it felt unnatural. Investigators froze when they realized this wasn't a robbery gone wrong, not a random shooting, but a calculated execution carried out with precision and fury. And the question that shook the room was the same question that will shake you as you watch this story unfold. Who planned this massacre, and what did Brianna do that made someone decide she couldn't be allowed to live through her own birthday night? But before that, let me take you back to 2002, where all this began. This is the life and death of Brianna Stein.
Asking our community to say what happened. Somebody knows besides those who came and did it and those who laying dead.
Welcome, my lovely family. I appreciate you always. Please like, drop a comment, share, and make sure you subscribe so you never miss another story. Brianna Stein, known in her community as Lady Takeoff, was born on January 23, 2002 in Los Angeles, California. Raised in Long Beach, she attended Jordan High School, a school that saw many students just like her products of a hard environment, striving for more, but fighting the odds at every turn. But Brianna wasn't one to shy away from challenges. At a young age, she became a member of Mob Piru, an aggressive black gang on the east side of Compton. But this part of town wasn't just a place. It was a war zone, a battlefield that shaped Brianna into someone who had to abandon any traditional concept of femininity to survive. In Mob Piru, the girls didn't just stay in the background, they were in the trenches alongside the men. Brianna was known for her active involvement. Whether it was in fights, shootouts, or the more shadowy side of things, she was a lean. But despite the tough exterior, Brianna, like many in her community, had dreams. She wasn't just about gang life, she wanted to get ahead. And so, she connected with pimps, hoovers, and started working the Blade on Figueroa, the infamous street known for its street life. She made her money catching dates and finessing tricks out of their pockets. As time went on, she grew more ambitious. Vegas and Oakland trips were profitable, and she was on the rise. She was also linked to theft, specifically boosting. She managed to secure a significant amount of money and even received a $17,000 PPP loan. Boosting refers to the act of stealing merchandise, often from retail stores, with the intent to resell it for profit. It's a form of shoplifting, but typically involves taking higher quantities of goods or more valuable items, sometimes by working in groups. The stolen items are then sold through various channels such as online marketplaces, street vendors, or black markets. In some contexts, boosting can also refer to activities like stealing cars or other high-demand items for resale. But things would soon take another turn. Brianna decided to stop her work on Figueroa and enrolled in UEI, hoping to become a certified nursing assistant, CNA. She was 20 years old, looking for a way out of the life that defined her youth. She wanted to turn over a new leaf, perhaps a new beginning that would set her on a different path. Around that time, Brianna, along with her sister Mauricia Hamilton, began organizing a private birthday party for her. Brianna had booked an Airbnb in a quiet neighborhood in Inglewood, hoping to have a peaceful and fun celebration. She invited various people, including gang members from different hoods. But that simple decision would change everything for her. A misstep in sharing the party's details would soon lead to a deadly tragedy. It was on the night of January 22nd, 2022 when Brianna's party started to heat up. The food was ready and the music was playing. Her friends and family gathered to celebrate her turning 20. But across town, two members of the East Coast Crips, Corey Irvin and Kil Santos, were preparing to make their deadly move. They were part of the shooter clique of the 118 East Coast Crips, an ultra-violent faction that had been making a name for themselves through their shooting rampage. Tensions between Mob Piru and the East Coast Crips had been building for months, fueled by social media posts and street beefs. As Brianna and her guests enjoyed the night, Corey and Kil were on the move, getting into their vehicle around 1 a.m. They had one thing on their minds: revenge. They parked near the Airbnb, then crept up to the house. What followed was nothing short of a nightmare. The two men approached the house and began shooting. Over 100 shots were fired in a span of seconds. They then forced their way into the house, unleashing a barrage of bullets. Brianna was hit and died instantly, as did her sister, Mauricia. Their friend, Terrence, also died on the spot. A fourth victim, Jaden, was critically injured but would later die in the hospital. Another fifth victim survived the attack despite being hit. What followed was chaos. The shooters, Corey and Kil, didn't hesitate as they fled the scene. The neighborhood was left in shock and sorrow as the aftermath of the massacre unfolded. Brooke, just a tragic story out of Inglewood. A total of
In court, just a tragic story out of Inglewood. A total of 5 people were shot during a birthday party. 4 of them killed, including the birthday girl and her sister. Tonight, police say that this was a targeted ambush.
Say their name.
Justice for Brianna. Justice for Marnisha.
A grieving mother dealing with the unbearable loss of not just one, but 2 daughters slain on the same night.
They was just cool people. There's 2 young ladies.
Everybody want to be around them.
Tiffany Stein says her daughters were 2 of the 4 people during a birthday party in Inglewood early Sunday morning. 25-year-old Marnisha Hamilton was celebrating with her sister Brianna Steins, who was turning 20.
Everybody got along with them. All she wanted to do is celebrate her birthday, and the sister came to be with her. And just beautiful ladies.
Police say the shooting happened at a home in the 1300 block of Park Avenue. The property was being used as an unregulated short-term rental. Neighbors say they heard about 20 gunshots go off around 1:40 in the morning. First responders found 5 gunshot victims. 3 were pronounced at the scene, 2 females, 1 male. 2 other men were taken to a nearby hospital. One of them died on the way there.
Our hearts goes out to those families too. But what we really say to our community, we have failed our community to continue to allow this type of behavior in it.
Inglewood officials say multiple weapons were used, including an assault rifle and handgun. The city's mayor says this is the largest number of victims in a single crime incident since the 90s.
It's singular in how calculated this ambush was, and we are committed to bringing the people that committed this crime to justice.
This lady lost 2 kids in a matter of minutes in one night. You know something, say something.
And police say the was gang-related and are still searching for the suspects tonight. Of course, anyone with any information on this case encouraged to contact the Inglewood Police Department. Reporting live in Inglewood, Carlos Salcedo, KTLA 5 News.
This wasn't just a random shooting. It was calculated, it was personal, and it was rooted in years of gang violence. Witnesses described the scene as a horror movie. The blood, the broken glass, the sounds of gunfire. It all painted a grim picture of the street life and the terrible toll it takes on those involved. Brianna's life, taken far too soon, is a stark reminder of the violent world that can surround people who grow up in certain environments. In the aftermath, the community came together. Hundreds gathered to mourn the loss of 4 lives at the scene. Candles were lit along the sidewalks of Inglewood, a small tribute to the lives lost too soon.
Yeah, good morning, Chris and Meg. There was a birthday party happening not far from here. I'm at Inglewood Police Department. This was along the 1300 block of Park Avenue right here in the city of Inglewood when that birthday party turned deadly. So it was Saturday night, spilled over into the early hours of Sunday morning around 1:40. And that's when neighbors in that neighborhood say that they heard about 20 shots fired. Authorities called to the scene. When they got there, they found that there were 5 gunshot victims. We have 3 were pronounced at the scene, 2 females, 1 male. 2 other men were taken to a nearby hospital. One of them on the way there, so that leaves 4 people at this one scene. The surviving victim indicated he is affiliated with the gang in another city. Inglewood Mayor Butts says the incident is gang-related given how it happened in an ambush-style attack and the weapons used, including a handgun and an assault rifle. Mayor Butts says this is the largest number of victims in a single crime incident since the 90s.
It's singular in how calculated this ambush was, and we are committed to bringing the people that committed this crime to justice.
There was a candlelight vigil yesterday held for the victims, the 2 females who were sisters. Their photos on display right there on your screen. At the vigil, 25-year-old Marnisha Hamilton was celebrating a birthday with her sister, Brianna Steins, who was turning 20 years old. The mother of the sisters was at the vigil yesterday as well, in shock, barely able to speak. Now the search is on for that mother's daughter's kids. If you have any information that could help investigators lead to their arrest, please contact Inglewood PD immediately. That is.
One woman described the scene vividly. At first, she thought the shots were firecrackers, but soon it became clear that something much darker had occurred. We heard the shots. At first, I thought it was firecrackers, but then it was like I told my husband, "This sounds like war." You can see the bullet holes all over this home on North Park Avenue. Police say the shooters had an assault rifle and at least 1 handgun. The 4 victims of the murders all had connections to gangs. One was affiliated with Mob Piru, 2 were tied to 135 Peru, and 1 had ties to Grave Street. These gangs, known for their deep roots in the city's underground world, had long been involved in turf wars and violent rivalries. Following the murders, it was reported that Mob Piru was allegedly making moves on a daily basis, heightening tensions within the gang community. Investigators suspected that the murders could be linked to a larger power struggle. As the gangs fought to maintain their dominance and control in the area, police quickly identified the victims and began piecing together the events that led to the shooting. It became clear that the attack was planned. The shooters knew exactly who would be at the party, and they came with the intent to send a message. But as investigators dug deeper, they found more chilling details. Bullet casings, bloodstains, and surveillance footage all pointed to Corey Irvin and Khalil Santos. As police closed in on the suspects, the story of Brianna's tragic death started to unravel in ways no one could have anticipated. As the dust settled from the chaos of the shooting, the neighborhood of Inglewood was left reeling. Brianna's family and friends were devastated, unable to comprehend how such a vibrant, loving woman could be taken so violently. Her mother, Tiffany Stein, would later say that the loss of her daughter was a pain that no mother should ever have to endure. Brianna had been a woman full of promise, young, determined, and caring. She had a bright future ahead, yet her life was tragically cut short by the senseless violence that ran rampant in the streets. She tried so hard to escape. Her and her sister's funeral was a public outpouring of love, with many people coming together to honor the women they had lost too soon. It wasn't just a funeral, it was a celebration of her life, the life she had built despite the hardships she faced. Her family and friends mourned deeply, but found comfort in remembering her joy and her spirit. Still, there was an overwhelming question that lingered. Why? For over a year, Brianna's killers remained at large. The pain of her untimely death weighed heavily on her family. That was until a breakthrough would come. In August of 2023, law enforcement officials announced the indictment of 7 members of the 118 East Coast Crips. These individuals were allegedly responsible for a spree of killings across Inglewood, Compton, and LA, with Brianna's death being part of the rampage. The East Coast Crips were known for their brutal and aggressive tactics. and the murder of Brianna was just one in a series of violent attacks that seemed to be fueled by gang rivalries and old grudges. Among the men indicted were Corey, Irvin, and Khalil Santos, the two men who had carried out the deadly shooting at Brianna's birthday party. Their names had been linked to the shooting from the very beginning, but it wasn't until this point that law enforcement was able to confirm their involvement with concrete evidence. Police were able to trace the violence back to a series of shootings that had begun months earlier, starting with an attack on December 6, 2021, when Corey Khalil and another accomplice drove to an RV park and shot two men. The violence continued the following day at an Arco gas station and continued to escalate until the tragic night of Brianna's party. The deadly shooting at Brianna's party was not an isolated event. It was part of a broader deadly conflict between Mob Piru and the East Coast Crips. The gang rivalry had been brewing for months, exacerbated by social media posts and back-and-forth threats. Brianna's party had simply been the perfect setting for the East Coast Crips to send a message to their enemies. The tragic reality was that Brianna and her friends caught in the crossfire of this gang conflict had become victims of a larger, more dangerous game. The investigation revealed that the shooters, Corey and Khalil, were part of a group within the East Coast Crips that had been carrying out similar attacks across the Los Angeles area. The shootings were part of an ongoing effort by the gang to assert their dominance and eliminate rival groups. The attack at Bonna's party, however, would become one of their most infamous acts due to the sheer brutality of it and the fact that it took the lives of 4 innocent people. On August 5, 2025, Corey Irvin and Khalil Santos were sentenced to 5 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole for their role in the shooting spree, which included the murders of Brianna, her sister Maricia, and 2 other individuals. The judge called the crimes sickening and imposed additional sentences for other charges, including a 200-plus year sentence for Corey and 100-plus years for Khalil. Their actions had not only destroyed Brianna's life, but had devastated a community already struggling with violence. Kendella Taylor was convicted of 2 counts of second-degree murder, but was acquitted on 4 additional murder charges. He has been sentenced to a prison term ranging from 30 years to life. Meanwhile, 4 other defendants are set to return to court on September 30th in downtown LA. Samaj Brown was found guilty of first-degree murder with the jury, also confirming the special circumstance allegation of murder while lying in wait for the killing of Antonio Dawson. Marvin Lanier was convicted of second-degree murder in the death of Antonio Dawson, though he was acquitted of the murders of Hector and Jose. As for Kevin and Taryn Adams, jurors were unable to reach a unanimous decision on the murder charges connected to Hector and Jose, resulting in a deadlock. However, both men were convicted on lesser charges, including attempted murder and conspiracy. In the wake of the trial, the public was left grappling with the larger issue at hand, gang violence. Brianna's death is a tragic example of how these gang rivalries take a toll not only on those directly involved, but also on innocent bystanders, people just trying to live their lives. Brianna's story is a powerful reminder of how gang conflicts escalate and destroy lives in the process. For Brianna's family, justice was bittersweet. While they knew the men responsible for her death would be punished, it did little to bring back the vibrant woman who had so much left to give. Her mother, Tiffany, expressed her grief and anger at the men who took Brianna's life. Her sister, Maricia, who had survived the shooting, found it especially hard to cope. She would be left with the haunting memory of her sister's death. And even though Brianna's brother, who now honors her legacy with his clothing brand, Takeoff's Apparel, tries to keep her memory alive, nothing could fill the void left by her passing. Brianna, a woman who had worked tirelessly to build life for herself, had become entangled in the dangerous world of gang rivalries and street politics. While she had tried to distance herself from the violence, the very nature of her environment and the people she was surrounded by pulled her back into it. The social media posts, the back-and-forth taunts between rival gangs, and the constant need to prove one's loyalty to the streets. All of these factors contributed to the tragic outcome. It's easy to dismiss social media as a platform for superficial interactions, but in cases like Brianna's, It serves as a powerful tool for escalating conflicts. Brianna's party, which was meant to be a celebration of her life and a moment of joy, instead became a target for violence that had been brewing online. The pain of Brianna's death was felt throughout her community. Friends, family, and even people who barely knew her came together to mourn her loss and say goodbye. Despite the tragedy that befell her, Brianna's legacy lives on in the lives of those who loved her. Her family is determined to keep her memory alive. She may have been taken too soon, but her story is far from over. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe to Viral Crime Stories for more stories like this.